Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. Just having a cup of tea. I'm going to start writing in a bit on a booklet on the resurrection of Christ. I just want to give some advice about fighting militant atheism. What is militant atheism? What have I been doing? How do we fight them? Militant atheism is an aggressive atheism that's out to destroy Christianity politically. This militant atheism is led by people like Sam Harris, who says in his book End of Faith, and has said in interviews, that he feels Christians are dangerous because they're irrational, and if they're irrational they could blow people up. Like the Islamic fundamentalist. Then you have Dawkins, who says that it's child abuse if people teach their kids six-day creation. And then you have Hitchens, who died not so long ago, who said religion poisons everything, i.e. that means Christianity poisons everything. Now Professor John Lennox, who's an Oxford mathematician, in his book Gunning for God, has noted, and I've noted for a long time, that this kind of language is dangerous language, because if we hit a recession, if we hit difficult times in our democracies, this kind of language will poison people's minds to start persecuting Christians in possibly violent ways. Just like in the Second World War, Jews were mocked. Before the Second World War, Jews were mocked, Jews were despised. It's that kind of racist kind of attitude that Dawkins, Harris, Hitchens and these modern militant atheists are pumping out. And people like Thunderfoot, Aaron Ra, DPR Jones, The Skeptic Fence, and many other blog TV shows and YouTube channels are involved in this aggressive attack on Christianity and defamation, and almost kind of racist in the way they conduct themselves against Christianity and Christians. And this militant atheism is not as strong as it used to be. I think when Hitchens died, that was a major blow to them. But the thing about them is they're organised, they're strategized, they work together. You'll find all the blog TV shows, they're all working together. YouTube channels, they're all working together. Well, many of them are. And basically they're organised, they've strategized, they know who they're going for, they know what they're going for, and they are taking ground. And very few people realise what's happening, and this is affecting not only the media, that they're bringing this aggressive atheism into politics, into the media, onto the university campuses, and Christians really are treating these militant atheists like just atheists who you just have debates and discussion with. But these are worse than atheists, because these people are systematically strategizing to take Christianity out of the picture in the West, and they're acting very much like the early communists who did the same. And they've got an iconoclastic mentality in the way they're going about things, wanting to completely destroy Christianity. And their strategy is multifaceted, and they're gaining ground. And very few people, very few Christians are actually really aware of what's happening. Even the Christian apologists are not really aware of what's happening. A couple of people on YouTube who do make videos are aware, but very, very few are actually aware of this militant atheism. Now I've tried my best. I'm not the best at making videos. That's not, I'm not brilliant at making videos, in the sense that I haven't got any technical skills, I haven't got a lot of resources, I haven't got a lot of people in the background, technical people helping me, etc. So it's very limited what I can do. But those who work in the media, those who work on university campuses, those who are working on YouTube, you need to sit down, you need to gather people as a team. You need to build links with other Christian YouTubers or other Christians on university campuses or other Christians in the media, and you need to work together, start working together. You need to start think tanks, you need to sit down, you need to start websites where we begin to study these groups, where they are, these atheist groups, where they are, what they're doing, what effect they're having, and how we can neutralize them. Because, you know, we need to start think tanks, websites where we're able to keep track of the secular societies and wherever these different groups are on university campuses, wherever they are, operating in the media, in politics. We need to know who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then we need a strategy to take on board their arguments. We need to do that on the university campus, we need to do that in the media, we need to do that in politics, we need to do that on YouTube. Some people need to take this threat by militant atheism seriously and begin to develop teams of people who are willing to work in the media, in politics, on YouTube, to counteract the propaganda that these militant atheists are doing. It needs to be done on a professional basis. It needs to be done with budgets that churches and groups put money into it, and it needs to be done now, and you need to get on with it now, okay? Because we've lost time and they've gained ground, and we need to counteract their propaganda now. The second thing you need to do, you need to work together. Second thing to do, you need a strategy. People need to sit down and need to strategize about how to take this militant atheism on. It needs a national and international coordination and strategy to take these people on. Okay? People on the ground in university campuses need to be aware, and on the YouTube and in the media and politics. These people are very, very shrewd. They are very, very clever, and they are 2 steps in front of you. And you need to make sure that you realize that you are up against, next to Islamic extremism. Now, these atheists are not violent. These militant atheists are not violent. But next to militant Islam, these militant atheists are the greatest threat to Western democracy. And you are up against the formidable enemy that you could ever come up against. You need to realize that, and you need to sit down and think hard about how you're going to tackle these people. Okay? You need to study them, you need to watch them, you need to keep a record of what they say on their shows, on their YouTube channels, and you need to work hard in working out how they operate and what they do before you move into action. Alright? Because I'm warning you, these people are extremely clever, extremely versatile, and extremely able to dismantle you if they sense that you are coming for them and challenging their opinions. Alright? So this is my experience after 2 years. Then you need to move into action, and there needs to be a moving into YouTube by Christians groups. We need to move into YouTube, and we need to take back ground that the atheists have taken away. We need to move in and start to challenge these big time YouTubers and small time YouTubers with good quality video material that's well argued, well researched, and begin to challenge them. Okay? The next thing you need to do is to move in on politics. We need to have a political way of dealing with these aggressive atheists, and a way of winning over the public and getting them to see that this aggressive atheism is what it is, aggressive atheism. So people need to move into the media and challenge this militant atheism. And you need to be strong and vigorous, because these people are strong and they are vigorous. Then you need to move into the university campuses, schools and colleges. We need literature, DVDs, tracks, booklets, books, cheap tracks, cheap DVDs, made that is a no-nonsense apologetics. In other words, whatever the atheists are saying about, these militant atheists are saying about Christianity, we need to deal with it head on and argue our case very clearly, succinctly, not in a no-nonsense way. This is what the atheist is saying, this is our reply, no nonsense. We need to do that. And we need DVDs, we need booklets, we need college literature, and we need to get it into the universities, we need to get it into the campuses of the colleges and the schools, and we need to flood in Western democracies as much literature as we can that counteracts this militant atheism. Alright? The other thing we need people to do training around Western democracies, specifically how to deal with these militant atheists. People, apologists who will study these militant atheists, look at their arguments and have good responses. We need a lot more people to be dedicated to this, who are willing to go around the Western democracies doing training seminars, etc. We need to encourage each other. Ministries that have bigger budgets and are doing really well need to encourage the smaller ministries around the Western democracies, and we need to share resources. The main thing is prayer. We need to be praying. The main thing is that we are praying, that we are walking with God, that we're in the Word of God. But these are practical steps that I've seen need to be taken against this militant atheism. On the professional level, Christian apologists like William Wayne Craig and people like him, Ravi Zachariah, are doing an excellent job in that field. But there's a big work to be done by rank and file Christians and lesser known apologists who are willing to plug the gap. And there's a big gap that these atheists have taken over YouTube. They're moving into politics, they're moving into the media, into the university campuses, and there's very little resistance from Christians. And you have got to take this threat seriously and begin to work and to neutralize it as best you can. Now we do it with the gospel, we do it with love, but you've got to do it. Okay, I've done it in an unorthodox way, and I've tried to throw myself under a bus and just absolutely throw myself against this militant atheism. And you know, it was just a little cavalry charge in the history of fighting militant atheism. It's just a little thing. But the real fight begins now. You have got to take this fight. You have got to own this fight. You have got to strategize. You have got to build coalitions with other Christians and ministries. You have got to write the booklets. You have got to do the DVDs. You have got to do the seminars. You have got to go around the different nations doing the seminars on these militant atheists. You have got to make the public aware and the media aware about this militant atheism, because it's not my fight. Alright? My fight is preaching the gospel, writing books, and witnessing to Muslims. But this is the stuff that needs to be done, because the greatest threat next to militant Islam is militant atheism in the West. Now, these militant atheists, I am not saying that they are violent people. They are not violent people. So don't get me wrong. But they have a militancy of aggression ideologically, where they systematically are trying to dismantle Christianity out of Western culture. But this threat is not being taken seriously by Christians or the Christian church or Christian apologists or Christian thinkers. A handful of public figures in the one or two politicians, one or two journalists, one or two philosophers, even atheists such as Dr. Miller has recognized that this aggressive militant atheism is not a good thing. So it's not just Christians who are recognizing it. Even decent atheists like Dr. Miller recognize that this militant atheism is a dangerous threat, because it's bringing a bitterness and acidity into our culture, and it's not a good thing. So that's my statement on how to fight militant atheism. Let me just tell you this: just as the early communists came into Russia, came for Russia and took control of Russia, they systematically destroyed the church. The early communists, they systematically took political control, and they systematically took charge. And if you study the early communism, the same rhetoric they had is the same rhetoric that these militant atheists have, and you will find that these militant atheists are going to take political power. They're going to infiltrate the media, they are going to infiltrate culture, and they are going to take Christianity out wherever they can in Western culture. Not protect Christians, they're going to destroy Christianity, utterly destroy it. And you've got to be ready for the battle, ready for the ideological fight, determined. You've got to be determined that they are not going to destroy Christianity. Now, you have to get mobilized in mission, you have to get mobilized in spreading the gospel, you have to get mobilized in fighting these people politically. But one thing you have to do is you've got to mobilize, because if you don't mobilize, these people in the next 10 years will have made the Western culture in 1,000 times worse than it is now. So the onus is on you to read Dawkins, to read Harris, to read Hitchens, to read Dennett, to go and watch the videos of Aaron Rat and Thunderfoot and the Magic Sandwich Show and Skeptic Fence and Coffee with Claire and Go Green 18. Go and watch these shows, okay, and read these books, and then you come back and ask yourself this: was Jason right? Is this aggressive atheism? And if I'm right, then make a decision. I'm going to do something about it. Ask the Lord what you should do, and then go and do it. But you cannot sit back anymore and let these people take ground. That's what's been happening, and nobody's really, only a few have been willing to stand up against them. But you cannot sit back anymore, okay? You can't sit back anymore. I'm bowing out of the fight. It's your fight, not mine. I'm not called to it. I'm called to preaching the gospel, I'm called to mission, I'm called to writing books, and I'm called to evangelize Muslims. That's my calling. But I've sounded an alarm. Now it's up to you to heed the alarm.